Do island folk morph into skyscraper when they land in the US, or do they bring the island vibe to the concrete jungle? Welcome to Crazy Questions. I'm your host, Soulful, and yesterday, it's my first episode, so I'm kind of excited. I might go off topic a little bit just because I script all this, but I still, blend my own me in there along with what I wrote earlier. But my crazy question today is, who am I? The girls, I'm sugar. No, I am a lot of things, but who am I? Who are you? Who are we? I'm a Caribbean human who made the very, very, very brave decision to migrate to Florida. I brought with me the vibrant culture, resilience, and traditions of my island. My story is one of transition and transformation, leaving behind the warm sands, the healing waters, and the magical mountains. For what? For new opportunities and challenges in this very uncertain world. This journey has been shaping my identity with me blending the rhythm of my island with the diversity of Florida. And this takes me to me blending in. So I'm out one day, because I'm always out. And out don't mean just restaurants or bars. Out means walking. Out means horseback riding, sailing. So one day I met Tom. I'm calling him Tom because I don't want him to ever hear this podcast. I know for sure it was him I was speaking of. But let's call him Tom, right? Tom is a Jamaican. He had moved to the US since he was a kid. I don't know, he'd been here forever, in my opinion. And we had a discussion about why he thought Jamaicans were so much better adapting culturally than any other culture within the world, because they kept their culture. I didn't disagree with him, but his conversation took me to a conversation I had with my grandfather when I was a child. And that conversation stuck with me every time I moved. Florida isn't the first place I've ever migrated to. My children will tell you how many places we've lived. And I don't know, I think they enjoyed it. I hope they enjoyed it. But I think it's made them a better version of themselves. But let's go to the story my grandfather told me. He asked me a question, hence Crazy Questions, because I've been asking questions since I was a child, or have been asked questions. He asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I wanted to travel the world. He said, do you want to do this by yourself, or would you have a family? I said, no, I'm going to do this alone. I want to see the world. He said, well, I want to tell you about someone who came here with their family from England. And they came here, they had 5 children, wife eventually passed. Community helped out this dude who had 5 children, and he was the foreman or something for the sugar factory. He worked hard to create such an amazing life for his 5 children. Children turned out to be less than, in his opinion, and even in society's opinion. And the father grieved and wondered what happened. And my grandfather said, I sat at his bedside talking to him before he passed, and he told me the whole story. And I said to him, well, I think the reason your children are the way they are is because they didn't know themselves. They didn't know if they were West Indian or they were English. And I said, but what do you mean? He said, the father failed to teach the children the real core of who they were. And in doing that, they lost themselves. So his advice to me was, no matter where you go in the world, take time to understand and know your culture. So wherever you end up, you won't ever forget who you are. Because being lost isn't always geographical. dude, that still takes me out when I repeat those words because that is so true. But let's get back to the topic at hand. Who am I? Who are you? So most times I try to integrate culturally wherever it is I am. So when we talk about who we are, I often believe we want to achieve who we are through the lens of harmony. Wherever we go, the idea that diverse groups can come together, learn from one another, and create a richer collective identity is not far-fetched for me. I actually believe we all can coexist without problems. However, blending culture sometimes feels like a loss of authenticity. Others might feel pressured to assimilate or suppress aspects of their heritage. Honestly, I don't mind eating Chinese food or wearing a gypsy outfit because I go to Renaissance Fair every single year, you guys, and I just love dressing up. So I don't feel less than because I expose myself to other cultures. But let's get real for a moment. While the idea of integrating wherever it is I migrate to, it often comes with tension. Sometimes it's about power dynamics, hence why this Jamaican and I could have clashed that day, but we didn't. Because whose culture gets prioritized? Am I going to respect Jamaican culture just because I'm in Jamaica? Or should I just be my small island culture? I was in a store one day and my son used the word "bomboclat," and the cashier asked him if he was Jamaican, and he said no. And she was kind of annoyed. She goes, "That's my word." I am often reminded every place I've visited, I had to assimilate. Because whose language becomes the default in a multicultural space? Consider this. When immigrants move to a new country, they're often expected to adapt quickly to the dominant culture. You gotta learn their language, celebrate their holidays, follow their norms. Yet the reverse isn't always true. How often do host communities make active efforts to embrace the cultures of newcomers? Is that what we are now calling? Is that what we're actually calling cultural appropriation? That needs another episode. The tension lies in this imbalance. Integration isn't just about inviting people to the table. It's about making room for their customs, beliefs, and stories, and actually being willing to adapt respectfully. I know sometimes I don't want the same things as a Jamaican would, or a Trini would, or a Bajan would. And our cultures are similar, but it's still unique island-wise to each of us. So my culture is mine. The key to all of this confusion is open communication with respect. But I know who I am. I don't want to be a Jamaican. I don't want to be an American. I don't want to be anything else but who I am. I will assimilate if I need to, but I will forever be me. Forever, just so you know. But thank you for listening, and I want to thank Tom. I know your name's not Tom, but thank you. Thank you for reminding me of who I am. Because sometimes you do need people to remind you that you are who you are because of where you came from. But thank you for listening to Crazy Questions. I genuinely hope you got something out of this. And as my dad would say, I hope you were uplifted. Send me a note. Let me know what your thoughts are. And send me a question, a crazy question you want to ask so I can actually do this. And let me know, my islanders, if this actually spoke to you. And remember what my grandpa said. Understand your culture so you won't ever feel lost, no matter where you are geographically. Because I tell you, sometimes I'm lost and I'm even in my island. So just remember who you are. I'm actually okay with cultures colliding. What about you? Peace.